When I was 5, I had a best friend. Lucas was his name. He and I were practically inseparable. We'd sit next to each other in class. We'd hang out at recess and lunch in the schoolyard. He'd always come over and visit after school, and on the weekends, typical best friend stuff. He was fiercely loyal, even to the point of beating up other kids who made fun of me. I remember one time when this older kid called Stuart was picking on me, and Lucas ended up pushing him off the monkey bars and breaking his left arm. Stuart cried like a little girl and never bullied anyone again, much to many young kids' relief. Another time a few years after that, when a few kids, Shane, Ryan and Jesse, used to gang up on me and beat me up, Lucas roundhouse kicked Shane down the flight of stairs and knocked Ryan and Jesse's head together so hard they lost teeth. When the school heard about that, I stood up and took the blame. Hell, it was the least I could do for my best friend who'd helped me more times than I could count. I was left off with a slap on the wrist after showing my own bruises they'd given me first anyway. Upon reaching high school, Lucas went to a different school, somewhere a long way away. It was somewhere I've never heard of before, and so I had to make new friends, to make the day pass faster, though I'd always catch up with Lucas on the weekends and school holidays. It was odd though. It seemed the more time I'd spend with Lucas, the more standoffish my new friends would become. He'd always show off his bruises and scars, and through some kind of best friend empathetic link, I'd always seem to be able to feel them myself, as if I'd be the one in his fight stories. He'd often offer to teach me to fight for myself, but as bullying was no longer an issue at my high school, I'd just shrug it off and tell him it would be a pointless exercise. Well, don't come crying to me when you get beat up, he'd always joke, though I knew I'd always be able to rely on him in a pinch anyway. Years went on, and we finished our school lives, still staying very close, though our lives took us down very separate paths. I became a psychologist, while he never really liked to talk about his career. I'd often see new scars appearing on him, and more than once when we'd catch up, I'd notice blood on his clothes. Eventually, he decided he wanted to see me at my workplace, as one of my patients. I told him it would be unwise, as we were best friends, but I could recommend a really good colleague of mine, and he eventually accepted after much convincing. After speaking to my colleague I'd recommended Lucas to, I was surprised to hear that although he'd call and make appointments, he never showed up to them. I confronted Lucas about this and simply got the answer, "You're the only one I can trust." Eventually, I gave in and took Lucas as my own patient, and was quite disturbed with what he had to say. He'd talk about his younger life and how he'd get beat up and fly into a rage, and how since he was young, he's never been able to control it. He described events in such detail that I felt like they were my own memories. I mean, I'd been there in his childhood, so of course I'd witnessed it happen. But part of what he was saying, I could almost see through my own eyes. "Gus, don't be absurd," I said to him, rather unprofessionally. "I was always the one getting beat up, and you'd be the one to jump in and save me." "Now you're the one being absurd," he said calmly. "Look deep into yourself and tell me, did anyone ever even acknowledge my existence?"